Hello and welcome to the local campaign. I'm Roger Peterson from City News. On October 19th, Canada will elect the 42nd Parliament, and Rogers TV is the only station producing debates of all Toronto's 25 ridings. For the next hour, you'll hear from the candidates of Scarborough Centre. Now, 2015 marks the beginning of electoral riding redistribution, so boundaries in the majority of ridings have changed, along with some riding names. So before I introduce the candidates, let's take a closer look at the newly redrawn riding of Scarborough Centre.
The riding of Scarborough Centre stretches from Highway 401 in the north to Eglinton Avenue East in the south. Victoria Park Avenue is the western edge. The eastern border is shared by parts of McCowan Road and Bellamy Road. In the riding's northeast corner is the Scarborough Civic Centre and Town Centre. The Scarborough Hospital General Division at Lawrence Avenue West and McCowan Road, and Centennial College's Ashton B campus are two other notable landmarks within Scarborough Centre. The incumbent MP is Conservative Party member Roxanne James.
And there's our look at the riding. Now we'll introduce you to the candidates, and they'll have their opening statements. But first, a little introduction. Alex Wilson of the NDP. Alex. Salma Zahid of the Liberals. Salma. Lindsay Thompson from the Green Party. Lindsay, thank you. And Katerina Androutsos of the Libertarians. Thank you all for joining us today. We will start off with the opening statements. You'll have 60 seconds each. And we will start with the party that has the most seats at the end of the last sitting, and that would be the NDP and Alex Wilson. Alex.
Thank you for tuning in. My name is Alex Wilson, and I'm proud to be here representing the NDP. I'm running in this election because I care deeply about Scarborough and about this country. As a local pastor raising my family here, I've seen firsthand how Stephen Harper's Conservative government has failed us. And Justin Trudeau's plan that he's selling is unrealistic. The NDP will ask corporations to pay just a little bit more and invest in improving things that are important to us, like healthcare and childcare, infrastructure, and a secure retirement. This campaign is all about change. We hear it over and over again at the doors. The people of Scarborough Centre are ready for change. Tom O'Care and the NDP are ready to bring that change. New Democrats have a plan.
Cut you off there. Thank you, though. Salma Zahid of the Liberals. Salma.
Thanks for tuning in. My name is Salma Zahid, and I'm proud to call Scarborough home. My family immigrated here 16 years ago to build a better life, and we have faced the challenges of so many families of Scarborough, from paying the rent and buying the groceries, getting to school and work on public transit, and saving now for our kids to go to universities. The Liberal Party understands these challenges, and we have a plan for real change, which includes giving tax breaks to the middle-class families, non-taxable Canada Child Benefit, millions in investments for transit and affordable housing, a proper job plan for our youth, investing in our seniors and our veterans, and reforming our immigration system. Countries that are hopeful of their future invest in themselves. We are very confident, and better is possible. Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party want better for Canada, and I want better for Scarborough Centre. On October 19th, I look forward to be your Member of Parliament. Thank you.
Salma Zahid, thank you very much from the Liberals. Lindsay Thompson of the Greens. Lindsay.
My name is Lindsay Thompson, and I'm your Green Party candidate for Scarborough Centre. I'm so appreciative of this opportunity to stand up for this riding. The Green Party is not a one-issue party. We have a fully costed plan for Canada. People from across Canada are making bold new choices. This federal election, they're voting for candidates with positive solutions, concrete plans for education and youth employment, inspired new ideas for protecting the environment, childcare programs that make sense. They're voting for change and standing up to protect democracy. It's time to make a bold choice for the future. Vote the Green Party of Canada. Now let me ask you, when is the last time a politician inspired you? It's been a long history of corruption and scandal. We need accountability and transparency. It's time for something new. Fully costed, bold new ideas, the kind of ideas Canada needs to build a sustainable future working together. Vote Lindsay Thompson for Green Party.
Thank you, Lindsay. Lindsay Thompson of the Greens and Katerina Androutsos of the Libertarian Party. Katerina?
Hi, I'm Katerina Androutsos, the candidate for the Libertarian Party of Canada right here in Scarborough Centre. I've always enjoyed helping others, so that is why I volunteer for the Toronto Police Auxiliary since 2006. This experience has taught me the importance of community values and connecting with real-life issues. The Libertarian Party stands for smaller government, lower taxes, and more personal freedoms. I think the biggest issue in this election is how families are struggling to make ends meet, and that's because taxes are so high. A recent study found that families spend over 40% in taxes, more than food, shelter, and clothing combined. Our party is the only one that combines fiscal responsibility and social tolerance. We would introduce a 15% flat tax for everyone. We would repeal Bill C-51 because it infringes on our civil liberties. We want to legalize cannabis. We are against the wars, and we would bring all our troops back home. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Katerina Androutsos of the Libertarian Party. And the Conservative candidate, Roxanne James, cancelled at the last minute and is not here today. We'll move on now to our first question. And Alex, you'll be the chance to answer first. You'll have 30 seconds each, and then you will be able to have a conversation about it, shall we say. Transit, gridlock, and lack of roadway maintenance are prominent concerns in Scarborough Centre. And this ties in with the general feeling among Torontonians that urban infrastructure is not keeping pace with growth. The need for extensive infrastructure renewal is clear, but where does the money come from for this essential work? What role should the federal government play in this crucial issue? Alex?
Thank you. We believe that gridlock is a major issue in our city, and New Democrats plan to invest in that by $1.5 billion because we think it's important to make sure that everyone can get moving to work. We'll invest that in subways, in buses, and some of the funding and where we'll get that money from is we think that corporations should pay their fair share. And so we'll be increasing the corporate tax 1% each year by increasing it from 15% to 17% to cover some of that cost of the transit.
Alex, thank you. Salma Zahid.
The Liberal Party understands the importance of investing in infrastructure, and we will be investing $20 billion in the next 10 years in the infrastructure. The gridlock crippling Toronto and cities across Canada is both an economic issue as well as a quality of life issue. If we are going to build more subways, a rapid transit in Scarborough, it's time that the federal government has a real partner. A Liberal government will provide long-term and sustainable funding for transit and infrastructure, and we will make sure that it is available as soon as after the election. And we need to invest right now.
Thank you, Salma. Lindsay.
Infrastructure is so important for job creation and for the community to get around, and we plan on investing 1% of the federal sales tax into infrastructure, $6.3 billion, and more down the line to not only create jobs, but to repair our failing infrastructure. We have one of the worst transit systems in the world. It's so important to the people of Scarborough Centre to be able to get around, and we will invest in infrastructure. We will also increase corporate taxes up to 19%.
Okay, Lindsay, thank you. Katerina.
Well, right now, the City of Toronto and Ontario are begging for money from the federal government every time they have a new infrastructure project. It makes no sense to send money to Ottawa only to give it back to Queen's Park. So the Libertarian Party's solution to the infrastructure challenge would be to eliminate the federal gas tax and allow each province to directly fund their own infrastructure projects. This would remove federal bureaucrats as the middleman, and the province will no longer need the federal government's permission.
Okay. Katerina, would anybody like to respond to any of the answers?
I think we need to invest right now. The time to invest, our families in Scarborough Centre are spending a lot of time getting to work and getting back, and they don't get time to spend with their families to do the homework with the kids or look after their aging parents. We need to invest now, and we need to build a better transit so that people can get to work and back in a good time.
I'd just like to add to that the NDP will sit down on a regular basis through their new Portfolio Minister of Urban Affairs and consult with each of the cities, including Toronto here, to talk about sustainable funding to make sure that they know that this is reliable, this is something they can count on in the future, and that we will be a stable partner. Thank you.
Absolutely, we agree. We need a council of Canadian governments, which would include federal, provincial, territorial municipalities, First Nations, Inuit, Métis. We need to meet with the municipalities and work with them, unlike the Conservative government. We need a plan for the municipalities and build from the bottom up.
Okay, anybody else?
Oh, I'm just saying, like, keep the money in the provinces, and you'll see how quickly the job will get done, I think.
Okay, Katerina. We'll move on then to our next question. What do you see as the priorities for Scarborough Centre in terms of safety and security? And as MP, would you advocate changes in our approach to criminal justice? Salma, you're first.
Yes. I think we need to take a more balanced approach. The Conservative candidate is not here, but they have been for them crime means just longer jail sentences. But we need to take a balanced approach. We need to look into the causes which are, and for that we need to see why we have poverty, unemployment, affordable housing, and that is what exactly the Liberal Party will be doing. We will be investing $125 billion in the infrastructure so that we can look after the root causes.
Lindsay.
Absolutely, we need to get at the root causes. The Conservative government is wasting your money with minimum sentencing. It's not working. We need to invest in housing. We need to have a guaranteed income supplement so that people aren't living in poverty. Once you have jobs, once you have a home that you can go to, you have security, then the crime rates drop. So that would be our plan at the Green Party.
Okay, Katerina, thank you. Or sorry, Lindsay. Katerina.
Yes. Well, the federal government spends hundreds of millions of dollars on the war on drugs. Last year, 60,000 people were arrested on marijuana possession. This keeps our local police tied up in paperwork. So when they should be out there catching real criminals. So by liberating the police resources to be more present in the streets, we can expect lower crime rates and less shootings in Scarborough.
Okay. And Alex.
The NDP's plan is to make sure that people have good jobs, because one of the problems in the city of Toronto, especially with their young people, is they don't have the opportunity to work. And so the NDP will invest $125 million in creating some 40,000 opportunities for young people in which they can work, so they don't have to be forced with making difficult choices on the street. The other thing that I would like to add in this conversation is the NDP is one of the parties who's going to repeal Bill C-51, the Anti-Terror Act. We don't think that it is a necessary legislation.
Alex, thank you. We'll cut you off there. Would anybody like to?
The Liberal Party will be investing in creating more youth jobs. We will be investing $1.3 billion over the next 3 years to create 120,000 jobs over the next 3 years. These are the ways through which we can stop the social root causes of crime.
Absolutely. The Green Party has a plan to invest $1.25 billion to create 160,000 youth jobs as well. Tuition fees have gone up 14%, and it's harder and harder to pay back that debt, and it's harder to get a job out of university. There are 14% of unemployment also is at the young individuals that have just come out of education. So investing in their future, investing in our future, investing in those jobs. We also plan to appeal Bill C-51. We didn't vote against it and are going to repeal later. We're the first party to stand against Bill C-51, which does nothing to stop terrorism in this country.
Okay.
I agree. We need to repeal Bill C-51.
And why is that?
It infringes on our civil liberties. It's unconstitutional.
Liberal Party is the
spying
only
on us,
party which has taken a balanced
messages.
approach on Bill C-51.
You've taken a wish-washy approach on Bill C-51. You voted for it, and then you say that you're going to repeal later if you happen to get in
Sorry, one person. Lindsay, we'll let you go first, and then Salma, you can respond.
I was just saying you've taken a wish-washy approach on Bill C-51. You voted for it, and yet you say if we happen to get in government, we will repeal Bill C-51. So what is your stance on it? It's only the Green Party that spoke against it first, and then the NDP later followed, but you voted for it.
Liberal Party is the only party which has taken a balanced approach. Unlike the NDP, the Liberal Party believes that we need to give the RCMP and the security agencies the tools they need to keep the Canadians safe. And unlike Conservatives, we want to keep the right to privacy, and we want to have a balance between public safety and right to privacy. We proposed amendments in the committee which were voted down. If we come into power, we will have parliamentary oversight, mandatory legislative reviews, and a sunset clause.
Okay.
There have been hundreds of academics that have said Bill C-51 will not protect us against terrorism, and it is infringing on our civil liberties. It's about sweeping powers, not enhanced oversight.
All right, we'll bring it back. You mentioned it with the crime, in regards to crime, jobs for the youth make a huge difference, obviously. Let's talk about that for a second. The loss of manufacturing jobs has hit Scarborough quite hard. Unemployment, underemployment are serious concerns, especially among the young people. What can the governments do to stimulate growth, particularly in the inner suburbs of the city? And I believe, Lindsay, you're first.
Great. The Green Party has a plan to increase large corporate taxes from the rate at 15% currently up to 19%. So this will put a lot more money in the pockets of Canadians. We can rethink other tax incentives for people. We want to create a national pharmacare plan, putting more money back into the hands of Canadians. We want to work with the internet as well and put more money into the hands of Canadians. 24% of the federal debt was accrued under Harper's government, and that's $150 billion more that we have to pay for.
Okay, thank you very much, Katerina.
Can you repeat the question?
Loss of manufacturing jobs has hit Scarborough. Unemployment, underemployment are serious concerns. What can the government do to stimulate growth, particularly in inner suburbs like Scarborough?
Yes. Okay, if I were to work in Parliament, I would reduce the regulations and red tape on businesses. I think the best thing a government can do to create a good investment conditions for the private sector to create jobs. To encourage entrepreneurship and new startups, our party would reduce corporate taxes.
Okay, Katerina, thank you. Alex.
We've seen all the loss of jobs, the 400,000 manufacturing jobs in Ontario, and we think it's time to invest in manufacturing. Unlike the Liberals who seem to want to quite give up on that and abandon that, we think it's important to invest in that, to invest in machinery. As well, in Scarborough, the reality is there's a lot of small businesses, and I've talked with a lot of them, and they want their taxes lowered. So we're going to reduce them from 11% to 9%, because that creates a lot of job growth. It drives about 80% of the Canadian economy. So that's one of the ways in which we'll create jobs.
Okay, Alex, thank you. Selma.
Studies show that if the corporate taxes are increased, we will lose over 150,000 more jobs. The role of the federal government is to create an environment where businesses are ready and willing to invest. And that's exactly what our $125 billion investment in infrastructure will do. We will build a better transit, we will build better affordable housing, and we will invest in green energy projects.
Okay, would anybody like to?
Lindsay. Increasing the corporate taxes, everybody likes to tell you that that's going to lead to job loss. The truth is that money is just sitting in the banks. It's dead money. It's estimated over $630 billion are sitting in corporate bank accounts, which is dead money. We also want to reduce small business taxes from 11% down to 9%. Small businesses are the heart of this economy. That's what we need to focus on, not lining the pockets of big corporations. I think we're through with the blue and red ideas of supporting large corporations to the detriment of everyone in Canada.
I'd like to respond to that. I think it's been a very much a revolving door between the Conservatives and Liberals, and it is time for something that is a different approach. The fear-mongering about increasing corporate taxes and saying they're going to go elsewhere is not true. Our tax rate, even after we increase it to 17%, is still much lower than the United States of America. So there's no place for them to go. They're not going to end up in job losses. These corporations who have been favored for a long time should be contributing to society, contributing to our social programs as well.
Okay, anybody?
We need to create jobs, allowing people to create and innovate. When you have competition, you have lower prices, which will equal to better service, I think.
Okay. Salma? Lindsay, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'd like to say Alex made a good point there. Raising taxes on profits of large corporations, we're just talking about to do that to the mid-range of the OECD countries. I mean, the US, the corporate tax rate is almost double what it is in Canada. So that's got to stop. We need to increase it. We're suggesting it go up to 19%. It was 28% in 2000. So this isn't a large jump by any means, and nobody's going to be jumping ship. We're not creating more manufacturing jobs. In fact, the Conservative government has shifted our balance to export more raw materials and have less manufacturing jobs, less high-paying jobs in Canada.
We are the only G7 country in recession. We need to get out of this recession. For that, we need to invest in our economy. We need to create more jobs. And our plan for creating 120,000 jobs for the youth will create more jobs and invest in the economy.
Okay, we'll move on then to our next question. Toronto is home to many immigrants and new Canadian citizens. Earlier this year, the government enacted a new Citizenship Act that raised residency requirements and enabled citizenship to be revoked for those convicted of terrorism, treason, or espionage. There have been criticisms that this establishes a two-tiered citizenship, but proponents say the Canadian citizenship is a privilege that should be valued and not abused. Where do you stand on this? And Katerina, I believe you are first.
I don't have an answer for you right now.
Okay.
Can you come back to me?
We have to go in the order we go in,
All right.
but that's okay. Alex.
So one of the bills that we stand firmly against is Bill C-24, the Dual Citizenship Act. We've always been a welcoming country here in Canada, and there's no way that we feel that we should be sending anyone back home because of offense they have committed. So the position of the NDP is to repeal that bill, to get rid of it, as well as to make it easier for newcomers to sponsor their families, to speed up that process so that they can be reunited and also contribute to our Canadian society and our culture.
Okay, Alex, thank you. Salma.
The Liberal Party voted against Bill C-24, and we are very clear that we will repeal this bill as soon as we come into power. Our leader, Justin Trudeau, visited Scarborough in the first week of the campaign, and he made it very clear that a Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian, and there are no second-class citizenships.
Okay, Salma, thank you. Lindsay.
Yeah, I absolutely agree on this issue. The Green Party also voted against Bill C-24. We plan to repeal. I agree, a Canadian is a Canadian. You can't revoke Canadian citizenship. You can't send people back to countries after welcoming them to Canada. But that's what the Harper government is all about. They want to take away your rights as Canadian citizens. If you don't live here anymore, you cannot vote in Canada. So we definitely plan to repeal. We want to take down the red tape as well and reunite families.
Okay. Anybody?
Yeah,
like
the Liberal Party believes in family reunification, and we will be reforming the immigration system. We will be increasing the parents and grandparents' visas from 5,000 to 10,000, and we will be increasing the dependent age from 19 to 22.
Let's bring it back to the citizenship regarding terrorism, having it revoked. So we can come to the immigration question, and we'll get to that probably in the next question. But for now, let's just stay on that.
I
Katerina.
agree. If you're born in Canada, you're a Canadian citizen, and it's in the Constitution. This is why I'm a big defender in the Canadian Charter Rights and Freedoms. So, you're a Canadian. You have every right You have rights. You have rights as a Canadian citizen.
We have to realize this, that we are stronger not in spite of our differences, but because of our differences. I immigrated here 16 years ago, and today I'm running to be the Member of Parliament. That's the equality of opportunity we need to create for all Canadians. A Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian.
Okay. And we can go on now to the immigrants question. We take in about 250,000 immigrants every year, the highest intake per capita in the world. The current government has focused on skilled migrants chosen for what they can contribute to the economy. Would your party change our current approach to immigration? Your thoughts on that? And I believe, Alex, we're back to you.
Yeah, the first thing, in terms of the requirements, one of the things that I think is important is the strength of the family bond. So to be able to have families to come who want to sponsor, there's been all kinds of problems with the sponsorships. We don't think there should be a cap on it, that there should be a freedom to take as many sponsor family as the family can support, as well as looking at significant issues, like if they're in a war-torn area like Syria, then we think that we should have those 10,000 refugees in according to the UN.
Alex, thank you. Salma.
Stronger families and stronger communities are the backbone of our economy. After 10 years under a government that doesn't understand the concerns of Canadian families, Liberals have a real plan to fix our broken immigration system and give everyone a real and a fair chance to succeed. Canada has been known to welcome people fleeing from war, disaster, and we will be welcoming 25,000 Syrian refugees to Canada.
Okay, Lindsay.
Yeah, it's funny that the Harper government has been focusing on immigrating skilled workers, because the bottom line is when you come to Canada, it's very difficult to use your education that you received from other countries to put it to good use in Canada. So we want to focus in on creating some programs where you can transfer your skills, your degrees from other countries, and have them put to use in Canada. There are doctors here that can't practice, and we're in need of them.
Okay, Lindsay, thank you. Katerina.
Yes, my parents immigrated from Greece in search for a better life. So this topic is very important for me as well. So the Libertarian Party would decrease the burden for refugees and asylum seekers. We would create sponsorship guidelines where organizations can, individuals can sponsor immigrants easily as long as they are willing to financially support them. We favor a thorough background check to protect Canadians of any violent or fraudulent criminal activity among new immigrants.
Okay.
Thank you.
Would anybody like to?
I'd just like to add, one of the problems sometimes with newcomers is accepting of credentials. So the NDP will work hard and set up a council that will help to recognize more of those credentials so that it's easier for people to practice and work in the skills in the areas that they're good at.
All right. Anybody else?
Liberal Party believes in family values, and that's why we have laid importance of family reunification. I hear again and again in Scarborough Centre, just 2 days ago, like I had a person, Mr. Ahmed, walking into the office and complaining that he has sponsored his wife since last 3 years, and still he can't get her here in Canada. That's an economic issue as well as a quality of life issue. How can the people work if they don't have their loved ones with them?
All right. I think at this point we'll move on. It was mentioned, I can't remember who mentioned it, but about the Syrian refugee crisis. Governments around the world have responded in many different ways. What should Canada be doing? Should we be taking more of the migrants / refugees, fewer, or your thoughts on how we should be handling the situation? And I believe, Salma, you're first.
Canadians are rightly proud of our history of welcoming refugees fleeing oppression, war, strife, and disasters to Canada. From Hungarian refugees in the 1950s to Vietnamese in the 1970s and onwards, Canadians have always shown that we are willing to step up and help our global neighbors in need. Liberals have committed that they will bring 25,000 Syrian refugees. We will have people work. There is a need that the immigration officials should work in the camps in Turkey and Jordan and make it easier for the processing, keeping in view the security issues in place.
Lindsay.
Yeah. Canada has a history of helping people, and that's what Canadians in their hearts want to do. Fear-mongering is despicable, and it needs to stop. But one of the problems is we keep bombing these countries without being sanctioned by the UN. So that also needs to stop. The other issue is that there's a climate crisis. It's expected to increase the number of refugees to 700 million by mid-century, and it's roughly at 315,000 right now.
Okay, Lindsay, thank you. Katerina.
I think I answered this question earlier, but like I said before, we need to significantly decrease the bureaucratic burden for the refugees and asylum seekers. We need to create a sponsorship for organizations, individuals who want to sponsor. If they're willing to financially support them, we would do a thorough background check for any criminal activity, anything like fraudulent, so we can keep our Canadians safe.
Okay, thank you, Katerina. Alex.
Yes, as I said earlier, I think it's important that we do welcome in more refugees, that we look at places where there is conflict and have compassion to those people. And we imagine if we were in those situations, we would want a country to receive us. So the NDP will, over a 4-year period, take in 40,000 Syrian refugees, as well as making sure that the obstacles that have been there in the past in terms of preventing refugees from coming in will be removed, and that we'll make sure that all those resources are well staffed so that things can be processed quickly.
Okay, Alex. Anybody like to?
I think in this issue, the conservative approach is not working. And our conservative representative, she is not here. But in May 2012, she said that, talking about refugees, that if people really are being prosecuted at home, they would go to the nearest countries. They are just coming to Canada because it's easy money. This is not the approach we need to have. We need to change our approach. We need to welcome people in Canada who are suffering from disaster and fleeing from war. Canadians are proud of this.
Okay.
No, I
Katerina?
agree. And you know what? I think we need to go to the root of the problem. Who's bombing these countries? Whoever's bombing these countries, they are making refugees. And they are leaving their homes. The majority of them, they don't want to leave their homes. But they're fleeing from bombs. They want to save their children. And that's why they're leaving their country.
Okay.
Yeah, we agree in accepting more refugees, having a stringent screening process, but also getting to the heart of the issue. Just like Katerina said, we need to stop bombing these countries, but we also need to deal with the climate issues. We're the only country that's pulled out of the Kyoto Accord. This is unacceptable, so we need to get at the heart of these issues and help other countries as we help ourselves.
All right, so we will move on then to our next question, and it's about children. There are 350,000 children under the age of 12 in the city, 65,000 licensed child care spaces. Some interesting math. Many parents complain about the lack of available daycare. The universal child care benefit was intended to support parental choice, but it doesn't necessarily address this issue. What will your party do about the shortage of affordable child care? And I believe, Lindsay, you're first.
Great, thank you. In terms of affordable childcare, it's interesting, again, that the Conservatives have now put in place a universal childcare benefit when they voted against having a real plan when they first got into office in 2006. So they are just trying to bribe you really for your vote, and this money will be clawed back at tax time. We have a better approach. We want to invest in childcare. We want to work with the municipalities and the provinces to create a real plan.
Okay, thank you very much. Katerina.
Yes. The Libertarian Party has a very family-friendly tax plan. It includes a $4,000 tax exemption for childcare under 18. We are doing this to help parents with the cost of raising children. This includes childcare, school books, other activities. We believe the best people to decide how to spend their hard-earned money are the parents themselves. And we don't need permission from the government to babysit our neighbors' children.
Okay, Katerina, thank you. Alex. The NDP is the only party that has a child care plan. We are the ones who will create 1 million child care spaces at $15 a day. So that translates to about 160,000 spaces in the GTA. So we think it's really important that we offer that because families are struggling. We know that household debt is at a record high. And childcare is an extremely expensive proposition, especially in Toronto, as much as $1,500 or $1,600 a month. So we think that's real change and real help for families. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Salma.
The NDP plan for childcare will not be there for 8 years. A child born today will not be able to see daycare. The Liberal Party understands the challenges of the middle-class families, and we have a plan for a real change. Through our Canada Child Benefit, the families will be getting up to $533 per child every month. And independent studies show that our plan will lift 315,000 kids out of poverty. Under our tax cuts for the middle-class families, we will be, a couple can save up to $1,350, and this will help them to make their ends meet.
Okay, thank you, Salma.
I'd like to respond to that. I guess the only thing is with those nice tax cuts for the middle class, anybody who earns $44,000 or less will not be taking advantage of this. And we think that there's a lot of people who are really working hard and who are struggling, and that they should have a break as well. And that's why we think a child care plan for them to help them, to give parents options that they can work or they can stay at home. We think that will help drive the economy. And we're not interested in just for tax cuts that will just help a select group and ignore a good segment of our society.
Liberal Party wants to create a more fairer Canada, and Mulclair is not willing to tax the rich people. Justin has said very clearly that we will tax the 1% of the Canadians who earn over $200,000. we will cancel the income splitting program of the Conservative Party because that benefits only 15% of the Canadians. Our program will lift 315,000 kids out of poverty.
It's interesting that you say you are the only party that wants to tax the top 1%, but you refuse to tax the large corporations any more than they're currently being taxed. It's because you guys are all out for the large corporations and you're not out for the people. Our plan also includes a plan for affordable housing and to look even further once those children grow up to abolish tuition by 2020 and to really invest quite a bit in post-secondary education, whether that be in trades, university, college.
The NDP plan for the childcare is based on the assumption that the 40% of the cost will come from the provinces. The provinces don't have that much money to put into that.
Well, it depends. I mean, I know in Ontario, the Liberal government has wasted a lot of money on gas plant scandals, and we're now to the point where we're selling off assets for Hydro One. We do think that childcare is an important priority, and we're going to make sure that happens. Unlike the Liberals and the Conservatives, who in the past have both promised it, and yet none of them created any childcare spaces whatsoever.
Katerina.
I didn't.
Sorry.
Oh, no.
Oh, I thought you wanted to say something.
Oh, okay. No, I mean, the Libertarian platform, we are centered on a 15% tax, flat tax for everyone.
But we're still on, I think we're still on, we're losing daycare a little bit here is where we were.
Oh, I'm just saying, okay, for an average, for an average family of four, who've got 2 children, so their first $42,600 would be tax-free, and then for the 2 children, we would add another $4,000 exemption. So that means instead of giving them tax money back or promising tax credits, why not let's keep it in the parents' pockets so they can have it, so they can pay for childcare and pay whatever the child needs, school books and other activities.
That.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Salma, you want to?
The Liberal Party plan of investing $20 billion for social infrastructure will create more affordable housing and will create additional daycare facilities under that.
Okay.
The Green Party also is interested in having childcare be at the workplace of the parents. The studies have shown that it's a lot more valuable for children to have interaction with their parents during the day. So having those childcare facilities close to workplaces of individuals is one of our goals.
Okay. I think we'll move on now. Let's talk about energy. On a per capita basis, Canadians, we rank number 10 in the world for energy use. Much of our energy comes from fossil fuels. What is your party's plan to reduce energy use and our reliance on fossil fuels? And I believe first up is Katerina.
I don't have an answer for you right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Alex.
We think it's important to have good, clean energy. So there's a lot of different programs the NDP has in terms of making sure that we retrofit some of the polluters that are within our city here in Toronto, in Scarborough. We also think it's important to invest and charge those who are polluting. So have a cap and trade system where those who are polluting the most have to pay more tax. We think that's fair, that they should have to contribute to having some solutions and giving something back to the environment.
Okay, thank you. Selma.
Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party have a plan to create clean jobs, grow the economy, and protect the environment. Stephen Harper has refused to take action on any of these things. He has slashed environmental protection, has cut funding for science, and has allowed other countries to take the lead on creating clean jobs. So we will be investing in creating clean jobs, growing the economy, and protecting our environment.
Okay. Lindsay.
The Green Party is proposing a fee and dividend system. So we're going to tax the polluters and give that money back to Canadians equally to all Canadians over 18. We're also the only party that adamantly is against all pipelines. It's shipping risky bitumen across this country. Why not refine that oil here in Alberta and invest in the economy that way? We also want to invest in infrastructure to create more green jobs, to create a better transit system that people can use.
Okay, Lindsay, thank you. We'll open the floor up.
Oh, sorry.
Well, we'll let you speak first.
Well, no, I was just going to say the federal government's role in environment policy is already limited and should be left to the provinces and are responsible for the regulations. Right here in Ontario, we already have a Ministry of Environment. The Libertarian Party recognizes that provinces have already set up their own regulations and we would not interfere in their jurisdiction.
Anybody like to respond? Lindsay?
Yeah, Elizabeth May is the only leader, the only MP, in fact, from an opposition party that has attended the climate change meetings. And so she has the best background to help us out in Paris. I know the Liberals and the NDP are going to make a speech there. Elizabeth May has a real plan. She's been working on it. She's ready. We need to elect more Green MPs to reduce the climate change in this country. It's disgusting what the Harper government has done in ruining our stance on climate change and pulling out of the Kyoto Accord. It's despicable, and we need to stand up for it. We need to do it now.
Action against climate change is a key intergovernmental responsibility that we owe to our children and grandchildren. As Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau will attend the December 2015 United Nations Climate Change Conference in Paris, and we will invite all the premiers to join him. Within 90 days of the conference, the first meeting will be held to work together to design a framework to combat climate change.
Where was he at the last one?
He will be joining this one as Prime Minister.
But
in
he
the
hasn't.
past, the Liberals have set different targets at Kyoto, and they have failed in them. They have promised things, and they end up not delivering on them. The NDP will make sure that we do that, and that we reduce our emissions by 2%, and we'll proudly put Canadians back on the stage. It's been an embarrassment with Mr. Harper, and we're ready with Tom O'Kerr to stand firmly for reducing our emissions of greenhouse gases.
I say let the polluters pay.
Then you're NDP or cap and trade. Thank you.
Well,
Yes.
we could talk about that as our next question if you'd like. In the light of the landmark agreement between the U.S. and China, does your party believe in carbon pricing plans? And I believe, Alex, we're back to you.
Yeah, so yes, we do, and we think that it's important that those who are polluting, that they pay a tax, and in the long run, it is going to reduce the emissions, and Canadians will be better for it. We'll have a better environment, we'll have cleaner lakes, we'll have cleaner air, and people will live longer. So we think it's important to invest in that, not just for ourselves now, but for future generations as well.
Okay, Salma.
The Conservatives have embarrassed Canada on the international stage by being absent on climate change negotiations. And this has resulted in Canada missing its emissions reduction targets by 20% in 2020 and by over 30% by 2030. In the absence of federal leadership on the file, the provinces and cities have made Canada's most innovative attempts to tackle climate change. So the federal government need to assume the responsibility and start talking on climate change.
Okay, Lindsay.
Thank you. Yeah, the Green Party believes in a fee and dividend system, so we do want to tax those polluters. The IMF says that we're spending over $60 billion on big oil. There's no need for that. We need that money back into social programs, back into our economy to stimulate green jobs. Green jobs produce more work. If you invest in green jobs, as opposed to big oil, you have 1 job per 5 jobs in green energy. So we will stimulate the economy, and we're the party with the strongest stance on climate change. And
Okay, Lindsay, thank you. Katerina.
Yeah, all I can say is the people will find the solution to the problems if government can get out of the way. That is the beauty of freedom.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I can say.
Would anybody like to respond to what we're saying?
I would disagree with that the government does have a role, and there are very specific things which society will not have if it's just kind of left laissez-faire. So, for example, making sure that we have healthcare, making sure that we have good pharmacare, making sure that we have childcare, all those social programs which we value and pride ourselves having as Canadians would be in jeopardy if there was just a let freedom rule reign.
And social programs do stimulate the economy. A lot of companies come to Canada because of our healthcare system, because they don't have to purchase additional healthcare coverage for their employees. So these programs not only help all Canadians, but they do stimulate our economy. And I would like to make one point on the trade deals that Stephen Harper is making. He's making a fool of us around the globe. He's creating trade deals that are ruining the sovereignty of Canada. Other countries can now sue us. It's going to cost us millions or billions of dollars to get out of these. In terms of FIPA, we can't get out for 31 years. He's locked us in. He's locked in future governments. The Korean trade deal was a joke. You know, they've taken away manufacturing jobs from our country because we're shipping in Korean vehicles. And then they banned the Canadian beef from being imported into Korea, which was one of the main reasons why he created that deal. So it has to stop.
Okay. And moving on now, in 2007, we mentioned it earlier, the government introduced income splitting for Canadian pensioners, and last fall brought in a tax benefit package that allowed couples with young children to split their incomes and reduce their taxes. Would your party roll back these measures, and if so, why? I believe, Salma, you are first.
We will not cancel the income splitting for our pensioners. We will be cancelling the income splitting proposed by the Harper government for the families with kids under 18 years of age. That income splitting only benefits 15% of the Canadians. It doesn't benefit the 85% of the Canadians, the people who don't have kids under 18, single parent families, and where husband and wife both are in the same tax bracket. So we will cancel that income splitting, and we will introduce Canada Child Benefit, which will give more money to the people who really need than to the people who already have.
Thank you, Salma. Lindsay.
Yeah, we're not going to roll back income splitting for seniors or pensioners or veterans. That is going to stay. We will roll back income splitting among families because, again, it doesn't benefit everyone. So our plans are not just targeted at the middle class, but they're targeted at everyone, at low-income Canadians, at every Canadian. We want to stimulate the economy through everyone, not just the middle class. But we will keep income splitting among seniors because it's needed there.
All right. Katerina.
So the Libertarian platform, like I said before, is based on a 15% flat income tax for everyone, for our seniors, our middle class, our rich. And so this would be, the amount is based on a basic personal exemption of $17,300 for an adult. And it would be another additional $4,000 exemption for our seniors.
Okay, thank you very much, Katerina. Alex.
What I've heard as I go around and knock on doors in Scarborough Centre is some sad stories with seniors who are really struggling, some who are losing their homes because they've got a sick spouse. And so we think to keep the income splitting for seniors is vital. The others who benefit from it, we think the families should not be included in that. It should be the seniors who are vulnerable. We'll also increase the guaranteed income supplement for seniors' pensions by $400 million, increase the old age security, and increase CPP to help the seniors.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Would anybody like to
The
respond?
Conservatives have turned their back on middle-class families who want to save and are struggling for their retirement life. We will be bringing old age security back to 65, which Harper government took it to 67. We will be increasing the guaranteed income supplements by 10% for our low-income seniors, and we will create a seniors price index so that the guaranteed income supplement and the old age security is linked to that seniors price index. We want a better retired life for our seniors. They need to retire with dignity.
We want to create a guaranteed livable income so that no senior is living in poverty. We also want a national health care strategy, a strategy for seniors. The Conservative government voted against a national strategy on dementia. This is unacceptable. We need to make seniors the focus. They're going to be the largest part of our population, so we need to make sure that they are cared for the way that they've contributed to our economy all these years. We cannot turn our back on the seniors.
Like I said, $4,000 exemption for all seniors. The cost of living is very expensive, and we think seniors should be able to keep their hard-earned money in their pockets.
Okay. We're going to go back. Lindsay mentioned it briefly about the deals, the recent deals by the government. It's placed great importance on trade deals such as the Trans-Pacific Partnership and the European Union. When it comes to international trade, what should Canada's priorities be? And I believe, Lindsay, you're first.
Great. So we are against these trade deals. They are no good for Canada. They are not benefiting us. They're taking away our high-paying manufacturing jobs. So we would vote against the TPP. We've voted against FIPA. We stood out strongly on FIPA. Unfortunately, that went through. We stood against the Korean trade deal. They're not benefiting us. So we need better ways to stimulate the economy, and we need to stop Harper from making these horrible deals for Canada.
Okay, Lindsay, thank you. Katerina.
I don't have anything for you right now.
Okay, Alex.
The TPP agreement, the NDP is opposed to that. We don't think it's going to benefit Canadian society. We don't think it's going to create jobs. In the past, we've had many of these agreements, and we see that our manufacturing industries are hurt, and the NDP wants to stand up for the manufacturers, for those in tech industries, as well as those who are some of our more vulnerable workers within our community, those who are running our farms, our dairy supply management system. We want to make sure that they are protected, and that is something the NDP will stand up for, is to protect those farmers and those in the manufacturing industries.
Okay, Alex, thank you. Salma.
The Liberal Party of Canada supports free trade agreements like the TPP because they create jobs for Canadians and contribute to economic growth and long-term prosperity across the country.
Hey, would anybody?
I'd just like to respond to that. I disagree with free trade agreements, actually, and I don't think that the Canada-US free trade agreement has helped Canadian economy. And what happens with a lot of these trade agreements is we end up losing jobs, and they go to other countries who can take advantage of cheaper labor. So that's what we've seen has happened with these trade deals, and so we're skeptical about whether the TPP will be any different than those ones.
Absolutely. Canada has a long history of selling mostly unprocessed, low value added, carbon intensive resources to other countries, and then shipping in end products, manufactured products, and that is why we're losing jobs in Canada. These deals are no good for Canada. They definitely need to stop.
Okay. Any more? All right. Several provinces have had referendums, but the idea has been rejected. We keep talking about the electoral system needing to be overhauled even with that. The first past the post tradition has been criticized for not truly reflecting voter preferences. Suggested solutions include ranked balloting and proportional representation. Would your party want to change the status quo? Would you want to change the status quo? What would you like to see? And I believe it is Lindsay.
Great. We strongly believe in proportional representation. A referendum, though, is not the way to go. Most Canadians believe in proportional representation, particularly after the last federal election, where Conservatives got in with a small percentage of the votes. In fact, the incumbent, the Conservative incumbent that decided not to show up today, was elected with only 19% of eligible voters voting for her. So that's definitely got to change. We need all Canadians to be represented in Parliament. So we would vote for proportional representation.
Okay, Lindsay, thank you. Katerina.
I don't have anything for you right now.
Okay. Alex.
The NDP believes that this is a very unjust system that we have. We would stand by proportional representation so that we would change the infamous strategic vote that happens throughout Canadian society, where they have someone who they want to vote for who's going to be a good member of Parliament, and they find themselves torn and they vote for the party. The NDP will give you two votes. You vote for the individual who you think will be a strong leader, a good member of Parliament, and a second vote that would go towards one of the political parties. So we think that will change the whole system, and Canadians deserve that change.
Okay. Salma.
The Liberal Party of Canada has committed to ensuring that 2015 will be the last federal election conducted under the first past the post-voting system. Within 18 months of forming the government, we will bring forward legislation to enact electoral reforms.
Okay, would anybody like to respond to anyone?
Yes, I'm just wondering what those electoral reforms are. It seems kind of vague. So
we will be bringing electoral reforms. We will be doing consultations with the Canadians, and after that we will be bringing in. We need consultations with the Canadians before going ahead.
Okay. Well, we'll sneak in one last question. With the polls running neck and neck, there is the possibility of a minority government. This also raises the potential for an opposition coalition to form and make a bid for power. Considering what's been going on, do you believe coalitions can effectively govern? And I believe Katerina.
If I am elected, I will work with any party to reduce government spending and interference in our lives, yes.
Okay. Alex.
The NDP believes very much in coalitions. In fact, in the past, some of the coalitions and work that we've seen together have brought about our universal Medicare system and the Canada Pension Plan. So the NDP is very open to working with another party. We think that the Stephen Harper era should end, that hearing it over and over again at the door, that people want anything but conservative. And so the NDP would happily work with any party that wants to have some kind of a coalition so that Canadians can have better lives.
Okay, Salma.
The Liberal Party is running 338 candidates all across Canada, and we have a real plan for real change. Canadians are looking for a change. They are looking for a better government, not just a different government, and the Liberal Party has a plan that will make a real difference in the lives of the people to make their end meet. We want to give an open choice to the Canadians. I know Canadians are resonating with the real change plan, and they will vote for the Liberal Party to bring a real change in Canada.
But
Okay,
can I respond
one
to
sec.
that?
Lindsay has to get her.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know that someone actually answered the question, but Elizabeth May and the Green Party has a very strong stance on this. We want to work with other parties. She's been in communication with the other parties. The Liberals are not allowed to talk to her about it. They've been asked not to, but we want to work together. It's all about working together and bringing all of these ideas together to form a stronger government for you. We want to represent you and represent your interests in a balanced approach.
Okay, Lindsay, thank you very much. Alex, you wanted to respond to
It doesn't seem that the question was answered by the Liberal candidate in terms of whether there is an openness to a coalition. It seemed to be an evasive answer.
We have a plan.
You have about 10 seconds, Salma, and then we have to go to closing.
We have a plan, and I know Canadians are resonating with a plan for a real change, and we will see how the Parliament looks, but Canadians need to have a clear choice now who they will be voting for.
Okay. On that, we'll move on now to our closing statements. We'll do them in reverse order of the opening statements. So, Katerina Androutsos of the Libertarian Party, you are first.
One second. Throughout this debate, you, the voter, have heard the other four parties argue how to spend your hard-earned money. The Libertarian Party offers a solution. We believe you, the taxpayer, is the best person to spend your hard-earned money. On October 19th, it's important that you go out to vote and send a message to Ottawa. Vote for me, Katerina Androutsos, if you want a smaller government and lower taxes. For more information on the Libertarian Party, go to libertarian.ca. I want to thank Rogers TV for this very, very important debate.
Okay, thank you very much, Katerina. Lindsay Thompson of the Green Party. Lindsay?
I just want to mention that the Conservative incumbent was elected with 19% of eligible votes, and 45% of Scarborough Centre didn't vote. 45% of eligible voters didn't vote. Clearly, voters are disenfranchised. The strategy of voting against someone rather than for someone who inspires you is not working. You have the power to elect anyone you choose. I will work for you. Local constituents are the priority for Green MPs, not touting party lines. Vote for yourself. Vote for your futures. Stop the blue and red revolving door, and they are only out to help large corporations.
Thank you, Lindsay. Lindsay Thompson of the Green Party. Salma Zahid of the Liberals. Salma?
Only the Liberal Party has a plan for a real change that will make a difference in Scarborough Centre. From tax breaks for the families to Canada Child Benefit and historic investment of billions of dollars in our infrastructure. Roxanne James and Harper have lost ambition for Scarborough and Canada, and for them better is just not possible. And they rather instill fear and negativity in Canadians. Better is always possible, and Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party of Canada believe that we will bring a better life for Canadians.
Thank you, Salma. And Salma Zahid of the Liberals, Alex Wilson of the NDP. Alex.
Thank you for taking the time to tune in today, and thank you to all the workers, the behind the scenes, the cameramen, makeup artists, and the volunteers that make this show possible. My friends, I'm very excited to be part of the change that we need in this country. With your support, we can defeat Stephen Harper's Conservatives and repair the damage done right here in Scarborough Centre. In this election, voting for Tom and the NDP are the only way we can defeat Stephen Harper. To do that, I need you. On October 19th, I ask for your vote. Thank you.
And Alex Wilson of the NDP. Thank you all for joining us today. There was the cancellation at the last minute of Roxanne James, the Conservative candidate, but we appreciate you joining us today. Air times for the other debates can be found on rogerstv.com. I'm Roger Peterson. Thanks for watching.